Good morning. Welcome to another session on environmental impact assessment. So let us continue with wherever we left. We have seen about the air environment, noise environment, right? So now we come to risk assessment. So, so what is risk assessment actually? We are actually going to assess what will be the severity of the impact, right? So hazard identification, taking recourse to hazard indices, inventory analysis, dam breaking probability, and natural hazard probability, right? So we are going to see the different types of probability of occurrence of that particular event or impact on the environment. So maximum credible accidents analysis to identify the potential hazardous scenarios. What are the different kinds of hazardous scenarios that can occur due to this project? Consequences analysis of failures and accidents resulting in fire, explosion, hazardous releases, and dam breaks, etc. Right. So, what are the different types of failures that can occur? Right. For example, there may be fire explosion, or it may be release of some hazardous chemicals, or it may be some breakage of some structure, etc. Then hazard and operability studies, right, and assessment of risks on the basis of the above evaluation, right. So you assess those risks, right, based on what we have already seen, and preparation of an on-site and off-site disaster management plan. So on-site is in the site itself. We see what are the different alternatives, and we try to make a management plan for all these hazards. And off-site is uh, what happens that is in the neighboring locations, so off the site. So you'll have to make a management plan for that particular aspect. So environmental management plan is delineation of the mitigation measures, including prevention and control for each environmental component, and rehabilitation and resettlement plan. Right. In some cases, you may have to rehabilitate the people to some other location, or you may have to resettle them to some other uh, place. For example, a good example will be a construction of a dam, right? Construction of dam, and uh, there are some people who favor the idea, and there are some people who don't favor this idea or who are against this. So a dam construction has a lot of benefits, but it has several disadvantages also, right? So for example, when you construct a dam, you are going to collect a lot of water, right, which is the main purpose of constructing a dam, so that uh, in the dry seasons, and when there is no water in the rivers, you can use the water that is collected in the dam, and you can disinfect it and use for drinking and various other purposes. So the main purpose is for drinking, and well, that is a major reason, and it may be used for many other advantages like navigation, and you can generate hydropower out of it, and you can use that for cropping, agriculture, right? So there are a lot of advantages of construction of a dam. But on the other hand, people who are going to, you'll have to vacate some area to construct the dam, right? The dam is not a ordinary structure that can be constructed. It requires a huge area, and a strong foundation is required for that. And you'll have to relocate the people from that particular place before you start construction of the dam. And sometimes what happens is that there may be some unexpected breakage of the structure. In that case, you're going to have heavy floods, and people who are living on the downstream of the dam, meaning the low-lying areas of the dam, will surely get affected. They will drown due to this dam construction. That is the fear of construction of the dam, right? Although it has several advantages, especially it may be not even breakage of the dam. For example, you have got a lot of floods, and the capacity of the dam is being overloaded, and in that case also you'll have a lot of water that is going to come in the downstream side, and people living in the low-lying areas will get drowned in the water. And so you may have to relocate them, and they may not be willing to resettle to some other place or rehabilitate to some other location, because it may be their own land, for example, and they may not want to give up their houses and their particular town or city or village, for example, because most of the cases the dams are built on some remote areas where you have a lot of villages, and you may have to relocate them, right? Delineating of the coming to the next one, delineating of the monitoring scheme for compliance of conditions, right? So you may have to monitor after construction of the project, and you may have to monitor some parameters like air, water, soil, and whether they are complying to the prescribed limits. Right? For example, water quality, whether they're meeting the standards, whether the air quality is being standards are being met, whether the soil is being contaminated or not. So all these things you'll have to monitor. Then comes delineation of the implementation plan, including scheduling and resource allocation. So we will see about the environmental management plan in more detail in the uh, fourth unit, right? So it is not only the plan; you'll have to make a schedule of how you are going to monitor these things, and resources that are required to do that, and uh, in terms of not only in terms of economics, but it also in terms of the manpower that is required to monitor. You may have to see that also, right? So that's all the things that come in the environmental management plan. So coming to the benefits and flaws of EIA process, what are the benefits? It is a systematic method, right, of impact assessment. This is a systematic method of impact assessment. Let's go through the benefits first. Uh, why is it is a systematic process? Because we are going to collect the baseline data, and then we'll have to identify the impacts, and then we'll have to see the mitigation plan, and then they submit the report, and then it goes for evaluation. And looking at all those things, the committee decides whether the project should be sanctioned or not. And there is something called the public involvement component in that. And after the project is being given a green signal, we're going to monitor the uh, impacts. And as I said, there will be some impacts. It's not that you cannot have a project without impacts. So we're going to monitor that, and we're going to implement the management plan, and ensure that the water is of again of good quality, air is of good quality. So it is a systematic process that is being adopted, right? So that is a major advantage. It estimates the cost benefit trade-off of alternative actions, right? So it is not only the environmental aspect that we are seeing here, we are also looking at the cost and benefit. So we uh, give a trade-off between cost and benefit. So you may have to spend more money to ensure that the quality of the water and land is being maintained, right? You may have to spend more money to design a process in such a way that it has less impact on the environment. So you'll have to trade off between the cost and benefit. Facilitates the public participation, as I said, people are involved, so you get to know what their views are, right? Surely many of them will oppose, so we'll have an idea about how many people are opposing and how many people are supporting the project. Provides an effective mechanism for coordination, environmental integration, negotiations, feedback, right? And top level decision making, right? So uh, as we have discussed before, the project decision, that is the execution of the project decision, is made by the either the state level or at the national level by the impact assessment agency, right? Achieves a balance between the impact of development and the environmental concern. So by doing this EIA, what we are actually doing is we are providing a balance between the development of the society as well also the environmental concern. So we cannot stop the development, right? Development, infrastructure development. If you stop those things, then the city will not grow. But on the other hand, it should not grow in such a way that it destroys of all the resources that are available in the city. And even though you may be making a big city with so many flyovers and industries and malls and whatnot, but people are going to suffer because why you're going to destroy the entire natural resources like water, land, air, everything is going to get affected. So there has to be a trade-off, or there has to be a balance between both. But in most cases, uh, we can see that the project generally has a lot of disadvantages, right, rather than advantages. But practically, there should be some balance between both of them, so that there is development in the city or town, as well as the environment is also being protected, right? So this is very well done in case of countries abroad. They they have a systematic procedure to ensure that the environment is not affected. Right. Coming to the disadvantages, it is time consuming process. Why? Because you have to collect a lot of data and a lot of steps are involved. You need a committee and you need a environmental consultant and you need a lot of experts to do this, right? Because a person may not be having expertise in all the aspects of the environmental engineering and for example, a particular person may be a soil expert, a particular person may be an water quality expert or analyst, and a particular person may be an expert in air pollution. So you'll have to have all the people to conduct this baseline studies and the evaluation process. It's not going to be so easy, and it's very costly, right? Lot of expenditure, little public participation in actual implementation. So actually, what happens is that while you'll have very less people coming to know about it. Why? Because it may be published in the newspapers, maybe in English language, which may not be read by people of local language. People speaking local language may not be knowing English, and they may not come to know about this at all. And even if they come to know, they are very fearful about what will happen to them if they raise their voices against the project. So in that case, there will be little public participation in actual implementation. Unavailability for reliable data, right? So in most of the developing countries, you may not get actual data, right? Why? Because of maybe poor maintenance and you know inadequacy of resources or inadequacy of people. Data may not be collected, so you may not get that particular parameter. You may not be able to see it properly. Too much focus to scientific analysis sometimes, right? So too much it goes into the technical aspects which people may not understand at all. So the local people, they're all like villagers, and they may not have any educational background also. So a lot of scientific jargons and terms they're not going to understand. So too much focus on the scientific analysis, it's not going to benefit them, and they may not be able to understand what the project is all about. So finally they get cheated off. And the last one is compliance monitoring after EA is seldom being carried out. So once the project is over, people just wash off their hands, and they just don't take care of what the impacts are going to happen on the environment and how to monitor all those things. Is very rarely that a project takes care of all these things, right? So with that, we end there. So we have a quiz here. Which of the following is not a drawback of the EIA? Right? Time consuming, costly, public participation, and D is tedious. Thank you. Thus, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for your participation. Looking forward to meeting you in the next session.